Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. It's me, John Park, and here we are in John Park's workshop. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for heading over to the various chats. We've got people over in our YouTube chat. Hello to Beata Graf of Del Hagen and Dave Odessa. Excellent. Thanks for hopping in over there. The other chat, the other main chat we've got going on, because I can't keep track of them all, is our Discord. So if you're wondering where the chat is at, go and look for adafru.it/Discord. That will take you to an immediate instant invite over to our Discord server. And then you just want to look for that live broadcast chat channel right there. That will get you in on the action. We got a lot of other channels too, depending on what you're up to. You can check those out. But during the shows, that is the place to be, the live broadcast chat channel. And hello to Andy Calloway and Paul Cutler. C. Grover says, yeah, Weather Channel is hinting that we're about to get turned into an atmospheric water park. It's true. The water is coming. The rain is coming to Southern California. I have recently adjusted this monitor, this computer, and now it floats up on an arm, but the angle is weirding me out a little bit. Hey, you can see back there the e-ink slow movie player in action. I'm playing Metropolis now. I think I have I think it's set to every 120 seconds it jumps 4 frames. I think that's what interval I have it on. So you'll see that changing throughout the show. And then if you want to watch the whole show on fast forward, you can sort of watch Metropolis, 1927 Metropolis. And I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that. Learn Guide is out. What else will I do? I've got a coupon code for you so you can save some money in the Adafruit shop. We'll talk a little bit about Adabox, which is coming soon. I have a recap of the Tuesday show, product pick of the week. A CircuitPython Parsec, if everything behaves. I've also got a bit of a preview of prep for the upcoming holidays. I'm going to do some holiday lighting projects, and so I wanted to try to get a jump start on that. Maybe you do too, doing some WLED and sparkle motion and NeoPixel strip stuff. I've also got a couple of remote controls I want to talk about for all of that, for using with the sparkle motion boards for WLED. And there were also a couple of gaming news things that I wanted to talk about. I know I don't usually cover tech news, but I'm excited about 3 specific console-y things that have all started to happen right before our eyes. So I want to talk about those today a little bit. And let me know what you're up to. What's going on? What are you working on? What's happening over there? Talk to me in the chat. I'll keep an eye on those. David Essa asks, where's Robert? I don't know where Robert is. But hello also to David, WA90NY, and Todd Bott. We're in the live Jipcast chat channel. Who else? Thin Man, hello. Day goes well. Thank you. John Nodge, also in the chat. And if you keep looking there was the announcement about the AdaBox. If you want to go check that out, if you haven't seen it, check out our various social media or go to, I think, the AdaBox 022, AdaBox 22 URL there, adafruit.com/AdaBox022, and you will see that we have begun shipping. So Lady Ada talked about it. She had an FAQ. You can go and look at that. I won't recap it all, but I will say we are starting to ship out AdaBox. This is going to be the last one that is sort of in the old model. It's even changing slightly, which is to say it's going to be a $60 AdaBox as promised. In the future, the prices are going to vary based on availability and tariffs, and we're not going to force anyone to get anything at any particular price, but we're going to have ways to let you decide if an AdaBox in the future is the one for you once you find out about pricing and availability and timing. But this one is on the way, so you can go check that out. You can go to AdaBox, adafruit.com/AdaBox022 to learn more. And I'll be I haven't gotten mine yet. I know what's in it, and I've got some preparations, but I haven't gotten the actual box. Once I get that, I'll be doing some photography for the Learn Guide, for the unboxing video, and planning on doing a live unboxing in a few weeks once people start getting these in numbers. So lots of excitement about AdaBox. All right, so let me put that away and let you know about your coupon code. Everyone likes to save some money, right? So do it with Technovember. So Technovember is your coupon code today. I don't know, maybe all the coupon codes in November are going to have the word November or Vember in them. I'm not sure. No decisions have been made. But Technovember, that is your coupon code for today. TECHONOVEMBER. Technovember. Head on over to Adafruit. Type that in the coupon code slot on the way out, and you're going to save 10%. That'll work on anything that we can physically send you. That will not work on software or gift certificates or subscriptions, but it will work on physical stuff. I believe there are no restrictions on brands or anything like that, so get what you want. You can head over, in fact, to Adafruit. That is the store, adafruit.com, and you will see all of our new items, all of our favorite items, all of our product categories, featured products, and so on. Go check that out. Look for some neat stuff and then save some money on the way out with that coupon code TechNovember. I will say that the AdaBox is considered a subscription, so you're not going to save money on that, but pretty much anything else that you saw in the store there, you're going to save your 10%. That is good until midnight tonight, East Coast time. Next up, I have a show on Tuesdays that you may be aware of, may have checked out. That was the show this Tuesday. It is a product pick show. I pick something from the shop, give you a bit of a demo, and a huge, huge discount. Here is a recap from this week's episode. It is the SPA06-003 barometric pressure and temperature sensor. I've got the SPA06-003 there, temperature and pressure sensor, all in that little package. It's hooked up to a QT Py here over Stemma QT. I have this reading out the temperature in Celsius and Fahrenheit, pressure in hectopascals, I think that is, and altitude in meters and feet. Put my thumb against it, you should see that temperature changing. The temperature is rising up. Get a little creative with it. I'm just going to put this in my hand and try to form a bit of a seal and blow on it. Increased the pressure a ton, or if we suck on it, so it believes it has gone up a mountain there. So we can get this up to 1,000 and some feet. Not what this is intended for, but it'll work. It is the SPA06-003 barometric pressure and temperature sensor breakout. Hey, that's what it is. By the way, this is one of my favorite moments. This is a silent movie, and I actually think it's changing every 30 seconds right now. We get the text cards because it's a silent movie, and those look so good. It's in German. I don't know what that says, but it looks really good on the e-ink to have text cards that pop up there. I also don't actually have much of a hanger. I didn't add a hanger to the case design there, so it's precarious. Let's see if it falls over. Let's see. In fact, what is happening now is, let me get prepared for a CircuitPython Parsec for you. CircuitPython Parsec. All right, on the CircuitPython Parsec today, in our Spice Invaders game, you will see I have added collision detection with the aliens and the player ship, as well as a game over state. So last week, if you remember, we added resetting the game from the controller, and you can see I've got it starting pretty much right at the bottom there. I can still try to blast some of these guys so I don't get immediately oh, I didn't get that guy in time. So you can see what happens is when the aliens, they're not shooting at me yet, but when they get down below that level where the bases normally are going to be, which we'll be building in the future, if one of those aliens collides with the player ship, I lose a life. Right now I've just got it set to a single life, so it goes to game over immediately. So let's talk about some of the changes to make this work. Let me scroll all the way up here. First of all, I have new set of variables for game over state. So sorry about that. There we go. Game over state initially is false, and the game over text is set to none. So that's just, we've begun the game, or in the future, if we have multiple lives or gain a life, we can keep track of those. And then let me scroll down. I put some, this is getting long, so I have a lot of scrolling here, but I added some little comment lines here so I can find my place. New function in here called check alien collision with ship. So I'm building a little bounding box around the triangle of the ship. So my little, wherever that is, I'll move it over here so we can last a little longer. Wherever this ship is, we're going to create a little square around it, a little bounding box, excuse me. And we then check and see the alien position. If the alien left or right, top or bottom overlaps with that, then we return true. If not, we return false. So we'll call that later when we're running the main loop of the game. Another function I've added is trigger game over. So here we can see I've got the game over and game over text variables that we're checking, as well as the text label item that's created to throw that game over text just using terminal font up at the top of the screen there. And excuse me, then in the main loop here, I'm starting with just because this is the new thing, if game is over, then we're going to check for current start pressed. We can either restart it or we can reset the whole board, so that even when the game is over, allows me to press start and restart the game. I don't have to add coins or anything. And then scrolling down a little further, here is the collision check. So check for aliens with the projectile, and scrolling down a little further, check for alien collision with ship. So that function takes care of that up at the top. We just run that function once a loop to see, is it time to blow up the character yet? So now you can see if I reset this and start blowing away these guys, let's try to give myself a fighting chance here and take out the bottom row. Okay, so now I'm not implementing, I started to, but I'm not, have not implemented yet the speed up. The aliens will speed up as they get lower and lower. They come at you faster, which makes it a little more exciting. But right now we'll just watch this and see when that gets low enough. When it runs that check alien collision with ship, it'll see that this is going to be his bounding box is overlapping with the ship's bounding box. So once this hits, boop, we call game over. In the future, what we'll do is add lives to subtract from that, and then just check to see if that number equals 0. Then we'll end the game. And so that is, in the continuing saga of Spice Invaders in CircuitPython, the collision detection of aliens with the ship and a game over condition. And that is your CircuitPython Parsec. All right, remembering my mute button there. It's a new thing. Let me move this out of the way. So I started talking about this, the e-ink player up here, the slow movie player, e-ink player based on Tom Whitwell's slow movie player project from a couple years ago. Wanted to show you the Learn Guide is out. I haven't blogged it yet. It just went live, but let me head over to the Learn system. A moment. Bring this up here. So if you head to adafruit.com, click on Learn, you'll see we have a few new guides out. Aaron did a couple of cool new acrylic laser cut LED, WLED projects that look amazing. Here is the e-ink slow movie player. I've got a little GIF here just showing a couple of frames of Steamboat Willie. So one of the things I did is use Steamboat Willie. Since Steamboat Willie has entered the public domain, we're safe, at least for now it seems. And then I've also got, here's one of the images from the Metropolis from 1927. You can put anything you want on here, of course, any movie that you desire to see play very slowly. Black and white is a natural fit because it's going to be black and white in the end of it. But you can throw color movies at it as well. That'll work just fine. The movie here shows sort of a time lapse of this. In fact, I'm going to show that little time lapse movie to you. So it's kind of neat because you can see the change of the lighting in the environment there on that bookshelf as time goes by. I think I still was running it fairly quickly and jumping 2 seconds every interval just so that it looked interesting. But that's, I think, a better idea of the fact that a lot of time is going by from frame to frame. Since this is an e-ink display, it's really suited to this. There's another frame from Metropolis there. So I'm running this on a Pi 5. This should run fine on a Pi 4 as well. I'm using this 7.5-inch 800 by 480 monochrome e-ink display. And I'm using the e-ink bonnet for Raspberry Pi, which just happens to show that color, tricolor e-ink in there, but I'm not using that on this. I may use that for a future project. Then I have this nice little 24-pin extension cable, 25 centimeter long, and this little FFC FPC extender. So the e-ink display has a little like 1-inch tail of ribbon connector on it. So in a lot of cases, to be able to fit things, you'll want to add some extension cable to it. So that's how I put that together, straightforward. You can use any 3.1 to 5 amp 5-volt power supply for the Pi. It really wants a little over 3 amps, 3.1 amps, something like that. So it's this one's 5.1 volts and 5 amps. That's plenty. And then I've got this right angle USB-C connector, so that supply has USB-C on it, and that's just because the Raspberry Pi, when we set this on a flat surface, the power connector would stick out a little bit far just based on this case design. You can see it changing again. And this is a really lovely case design from Pedro Ruiz that I just made a couple of small modifications for this project, but I think he'll be posting that as its own guide, and I think as a product that you can buy if you want to do e-ink and Raspberry Pi projects without doing your own printing. Using a nice big SD card so that you can store big movies. I believe the full 2-ish hour long movie for this Metropolis is around 4 gigabytes, and I've brought that down to only be 480 high and whatever wide. So these movies can be pretty big. As a MPEG, you might find other formats work well for you. I'm also using some tape to stick the excess ribbon cable down. And I really like these screws. They are sometimes called laptop screws. I've used them in projects before. This is a nice little set that I linked to from Amazon, and it comes with some M2, M2.5, and M3 screws in a few different sizes, and they have really low profile heads, very, very flat heads, and these happen to be Phillips. I wouldn't mind getting those in hex or Torx, actually. So next up, we've got the setup for Raspberry Pi. So some of this is your typical Raspberry Pi imager software, giving it some settings that I happen to name the host name slowmovepi, using the username admin, enabling SSH, giving it your Wi-Fi credentials. So old days, you'd format your card, and then you'd open up a config file in a text editor and go try to add your Wi-Fi and all that. Now you can do that from the Pi imager, which is great. So pretty much works when you plug it in, you're ready to go. And then I've got the bonnet, e-ink bonnet, plugged in there on top of the Pi. In this usage, you don't need a riser or anything like that. You can just plug it directly in, and I'm not adding anything on top of it, so that works quite well. Then we'll SSH into it, and I've got some links off to other guides that go into the details of the SSH setup, enabling your SPI, because that bonnet uses SPI, so you have to make sure that's enabled. I don't think it is by default. Doing some updates to the system software. And then there's a few things we're going to install. So I've got the little scripts here. We're using virtual environments, so I've got a link off to setting up your virtual environment, the FFmpeg and FFmpeg Python, as well as this config arg parse library. So you'll install those. Then set up a video directory on the root of the Pi, and that's where you, videos directory, and you can set your movies in there. The script will go through, actually, this morning I had Steamboat Willie playing, and then it ended, because it's pretty short, and it just started playing Metropolis, so it will, the default settings is to just run through every video file that it finds in that videos directory. And here is the script. So this is, I've got links going back to Tom Whitwell's guide, and including right here on the GitHub. This is all Tom's, and other people have contributed, all Tom's code. All I've done is make a few very small adjustments so that we can use the Adafruit Pi e-ink bonnet, as well as that particular display, which uses this, this chip here, the UC8179. Adafruit EPD UC8179. That one will also, that chip will also do tricolor, so that I think I have a setting in here telling it not to. I can't remember if that was in this or a previous one I had done. So the door is open to do some tricolor e-ink stuff potentially with this in the future. So you'll save that there. You can do a test run with this code right here. It will just pick a file, or you can give it, I talk about some of the arguments available, give it a particular file name, give it a particular start frame, increments, the delay between, what your contrast level is set on. Actually, that right there is close to where we... The full set of arguments that you can run are right here, so you can check those out. That's directly from Tom's GitHub. Here is the link to the 3D printed frame that I modified based on Pedro's design. And you can download a 3MF file if you want to use your 3D slicer and get all of those preset build plates there. You can use that. You don't have to print both of the little angled stands. These are really if you're going to go on a desk or a bookshelf, so low or high angle. I think it's 14 or 28 degree angle I made those at. Or make your own, that's a simple design. You can also download a zip file full of the STLs and deal with them individually if you're not using that sort of 3MF based slicer. And then here is the assembly. So one thing I note is that e-ink displays do not require power. Once you've got an image on there, they kind of stay. So you could see I had been running the Steamboat Willie, and so that's on the screen, even though this thing isn't getting powered right now. So put that into the frame, add the little cable extender, add the extension to that little coupler, connect that to the bonnet. There it is. Screw the Raspberry Pi to this bracket and then connect the bonnet on top of that. Look like this. And now you're just sandwiching those parts. So you've got the frame front, you've got the bracket, and then this backing piece goes on it. You screw 5 M2.5 by 6 millimeter, I think, screws into there, yeah. And then there's a little cover to add on the back there to cover up the Pi. And that's the one that uses the M2 screws just because it's got a small radius on the corners. Plug it in and should look something like that when it has had the script started. I do a little bit on movie prep here. I have a link to the WebM file of that Steamboat Willie that I grabbed just off of Wikimedia, because again, that's in the public domain. You can find that elsewhere, but that's the one I grabbed. And then here's a little bit on contrast. So you can use the contrast controls in the script to avoid washed out scenes, but I found in particularly the case of Steamboat Willie, it was nice to just pre-process that with a little bit of gamma correction, some levels, some brightness, black, shadow, highlight, just tune that so that we have some distinct black and white pretty much always, and then the grayscale will get dithered accordingly. The last thing here is I wanted to be able to have this run on startup. Again, this is all based on Tom's work, so there are some instructions here on setting up a service, and that service will run on start. So here's the little service file you'll create with some default settings, and then how to set system control on the Raspberry Pi to have a daemon that will reload that and then enable it. You can also stop the service, so if I were to SSH this right now, I'd need to stop that service if I actually wanted to run individual tests on it. So you can start it, stop it, and check the status there. And, oh, that's a nice idea. Todd said, how about interleave frames of those two movies? That would be a nice addition. If anyone wants to contribute, that would be a fun ad. And also, I should talk to Tom about this. I would love to have this just be a couple of options on the mainline GitHub scripts, so that it just adds this particular bonnet and chip, and you wouldn't need any other differences. So it'd be nice to move that back into the main line of the slow movie player. So if anyone is interested in that and has those kinds of skills, I don't. I barely have the GitHub skills to do that. But if anyone wants to try to fork that and adjust it so that the Adafruit particulars are just an option in Tom's original scripts, that would be fantastic. And I think that is it. Yeah. So let me know if anyone makes this. Love to see your examples. Love to see your movies playing on it. And yeah, I think this is jumping 2 seconds because there's a lot of change. Normally, you will see very small changes from frame to frame, which was the intent of it, the sort of Zen-like intent of it. Why am I a carny? I take that as a compliment. Someone in YouTube said, let me catch up on the chats. What is going on? I'll bring up the Discord and I'll take a look over on the YouTube. A warm day in the mid-Atlantic. Robert Cochran, right on. Focusing on cooking chili, excellent. Stained glass thing by Aaron is really nice. Saw a 2-minute show of the stained glass on Show and Tell last night. Check that out. Yeah, so it'd be nice for multicolor e-inks. 1 color per film, 2 or 4 films at once. Do some compositing. Neat. Robert said, I bought some M2.5 by 6 millimeter stainless steel Torx screws, the plastic forming kind, of my implementation of the Reese Brothers IoT moon phase project, order from McMaster Carr. Oh, that's great. Yeah, so that is actually a really good point. We sell nylon screws, the M2.5 and M3 nylon screws in kits. Those are great, and they work for certain projects, but these were tight enough, it was printed dense enough, those holes are small. I figure the nylon screws would go in once or twice, and then if you do it again, they'll start to get kind of mushed down. It's kind of the opposite of stripping it. It just kind of mushes them down. So I think using some metal screws is nice for this project. And maybe we'll stock something like that in the future. I'll mention that to Lamore sometime after she's back in business. All right, and then what's going on over here? Yeah, interlave the frames. I love that idea. Next up, what did I say I was going to do that I didn't want to forget? I've got all of the news. Let's talk about a couple of these news things that I was excited about. So, first and foremost, have you heard of this thing? There we go. Look at that beautiful cube. So Steam Machine. If you're not familiar with Steam Valve software, I guess they're still called Valve software. There you go, Valve. Valve is in the hardware business as well as the software business, and the Valve Steam Deck was really popular, has done well for doing essentially a Linux handheld that can run Windows games, and it's terrific. They're expanding this to a full-blown living room console style concept. Not a lot of info about pricing, like none. It's just all speculation right now. I'm gonna guess this will be $600, give or take, because I think they're targeting it at the high-end PlayStation 5 Pro and Xbox market. They could maybe take a bit of a loss on it because they make so much of their money from the games that are sold through Steam. But anyway, that thing is looking cool. It's very reminiscent of a Next Cube, the mighty Magnesium Next Cube of yore, as well as a little bit like a Game Boy. And it has some neat features. It's basically a gaming PC, a very specifically constructed gaming PC. They do have a nice LED strip on the bottom of it that'll be used for all sorts of things. And look at the customization. They've got a front panel that just pops right off, so you can sticker bomb it, like they've got one of their images there, or buy vinyl to apply to it, or I'm sure there'll be third-party and maybe even first-party panels. In fact, sitting right here, I have my original Xbox 360. Does it have the cool old cover on it? It does, yeah. So Xbox 360 was kind of all white, right? Except they sold these amazing pop-off panels. I forget how you pop them off, so I'll leave it alone for now. But I got this great wood grain with sort of stained pinstriping looking thing. That was an official first-party Xbox one. And I love that, being able to customize that a little bit. So that's a neat thing that Steam Machine is bringing back. And I think the timing is interesting, as Microsoft seems to be continually struggling to figure out if they're really in the Xbox business or not. It seems like they're doing all sorts of weird things and firing teams that make great games and canceling games every year and raising prices. I don't know what they want to do, but this is probably really good timing for Valve with this thing. And as they've mentioned, this will run SteamOS, but I think it'll also just straight up run Linux. So it could be a pretty neat little desktop, small form factor-ish desktop machine, but targeted, I think, mostly at the living room set. So that's exciting. They also announced a bunch of other stuff I won't go into, but that one I'm particularly excited about. Another console. There's 3 console things I want to talk about. This is finally shipping. So this is Analog 3D, which is, if you're not familiar with Analog, they're a UK company that makes FPGA game consoles that traditionally are a modernized version of a particular console. So they've done an NES, Master System, SNES, Genesis, Neo Geo. There's a Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance one, which I've shown here on the show before. And this one is a Nintendo 64. So they take cartridges. These have that's sort of how they've distinguished themselves, is by doing cartridge-based FPGA, so very good emulation, FPGA emulation that plays original cartridges and has some modern conveniences like wireless controller connectivity and HDMI output. So that's the niche they fit in, and this thing has been in the making for a few years now. It is shipping November 18th, it begins. So I pre-ordered one years ago, and I'm looking forward to that. I ordered the black one, comes in black and white. I have my original N64, which I can play on CRTs, but this will be one I can plug into a big plasma display or LCD display and play all of my original cartridges. The other thing that often happens with these is there is usually an SD card slot. There is often a second core available, and people will write things that'll play games off of ROMs. But to me, actually, the most interesting thing is getting cartridges, hunting cartridges, and on yard sales, eBay, swap meets, and that kind of thing, and plugging them in and playing. Third one, Superstation. Superstation 1. So this is even more in the FPGA world. Retro Remake is the company, and they make the Mr. Pi, which is a very, I don't have one, I have not done any of the Mr. stuff, but Misters are sort of multi-console FPGA game machines. They don't usually look like anything in particular. They look like a case that fits around a Raspberry Pi and an add-on board. Of course, people 3D print ones that look like all kinds of cool things, but I think the interesting thing to me about this Superstation 1 is that it is made to look like a PlayStation 1, the miniaturized PlayStation 1. It comes in white, black, and this gorgeous translucent blue. Out of the box, it's meant to play PlayStation 1, but it'll run everything up to whatever the limit is on FPGA of that kind. And they got this thing, the dock. What's the dock going to do? It's going to sit underneath the Superstation, and it will let you put in PlayStation games, as well as, I think, plug in USB controllers and do some other stuff. The reason this one, besides looking cool, the reason this one is interesting to me is they have added every video output known to man on this thing. If you look at the Superstation itself, on the back they've got HDMI, they've got VGA, they've got, I think, composite on one side and a digital audio output. They've got, I think, component on the other side. I think this DB whatever connector on the back will do RGB out, just with like different dongles. So really interesting. And that has, I think, got a, yeah, Q1 2026 is when they're hoping to get those out. So anyway, interesting times for consoles with those three there. So thanks for playing along with my excited retro gaming consumerism. All right. Yeah, Tyeth says, found a bit strange how they concentrated the video on one corner and the power button. Can't deny, though, I'd take one. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Bannergraph Up to Hagen asked about SCART. It would surprise me if they're not planning to do SCART via this cable right here. Let me see, can I make this image bigger? I think this DIN 10, and maybe the VGA, but I think this DIN 10 in a lot of that Mr. world is a generalized from this to whatever, and then you just have to buy some specific cable or dongle. So I'm going to guess that SCART with RGB and sync would come through that DIN 10 port, and then you'd have to have the right cable. That's probably also how RGB and sync will work. Could be over the VGA as well. I know the RetroTink people have some cables that and adapters that do kind of that exact thing. They go from console to a DB15 to SCART or composite or BNC connector, RGB and sync, that sort of thing. So I believe you'll be able to go to a SCART TV. It'd be surprising if they weren't doing that. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any experience with these sort of very modernized, souped-up Misters. I have not This is going to be my foray into it, because I've been scared off by all of the choices a couple years ago when I looked into it. Yeah, SVHS, like a S-video cable. S-video cable, it would also, I think, be likely that you can go S-video through an adapter off of that. I'll betcha. But yeah, this will take original controllers, original memory cards, right out of the box without needing the little dock thing to sit on. So I ordered it in blue, because why not? Translucent blue, very 90s. All right, next, what are we going to do here? Let's talk about some WLED stuff. I want to start thinking about lighting, holiday lighting for a tree, a wreath, a window, the fence, something like that. And so to kick it off, I want to look at some sparkle motion boards and a little bit of setup on those, just so that I can show these remotes that I just got. So let's jump over here. I finally fixed what was not allowing me to adjust the exposure. So that's a little dark right now, but the lights will look good as I lower that. And let me head on over here, and I'm going to see if this iPad got charged enough to be able to do what I want to do in WLED. So let me just start off. I'll demo a little thing, which is here. Wow, that's really bright. Let me lower this light that's on me. No, that's all the way. Lower light. That's maybe better. So I've got a sparkle motion stick here. And it has a little bit of screw terminal there for us to plug in. I believe we can do 2 different separate strips on pins 21 or 22. So that's important for setup. And then power and ground gives you 5 volts out. And I'm just going to use a battery pack here. Plug this in. So typical I'm running on here right now is this little mic on there. So yeah, I think I'll just let me just do this on my phone, because I don't think the iPad has entered the world of the living. I need to charge that. And let me open up WLED. So this is on my Wi-Fi, this phone. I can't check text on, or Discord on here. Yeah. Oh, the mic lost the connection. What happened to my mic? Did I die batteries? Or test? No, it looks like I've got. Oh, loose connection. Is it crackling? Why is it doing that? I should not be doing that. Huh. Let me move this. Mic is going in and out. No. All right. I tightened the cord on that. I'm just going to hope for the best. Let me know if, ping me again if that's, when is that happening? When I reach up. Oh gosh, yeah, okay. All right, I won't reach up. Hopefully. There must be something loose in this cord, in this mic cable. Darn it. Sorry about that. Maybe it's time for me to modernize and get those little mini wireless mics. Okay, so Sparkle Motion here. In my presets, let me reload this. Run WLED. So I'm going to join this. They're on the same network, so I'm going to join the sparkle stick here. So you can see if I hit power off, it just turns the lights off. It's actually not actually powering down the system. If I head over to presets, you can see I've got 4 presets that I made on here. So if I switch over to scan, we get like a Larson scanner. If I go to noise meter, that's a audio reactive one. Matrix picks, just doing matrix style raining text. And flow stripe, whatever that is. So I can pick those from this UI, but one of the things I'm thinking about for holiday lighting is letting other family members partake in the fun of switching out settings, and generally speaking, don't want everyone to have to worry about getting weird apps on their phone or going to weird URLs and dealing with this. So I just want a pick up and play remote control. So if we go to the config of any of these Sparkle Motion boards, in the, I believe, LED preferences, you can look at IR. So let me zoom in. Sorry, hopefully you're not losing the microphone too badly. All right, check, check. If you scroll down in, so this is the LED setup, weirdly. There's going to be a IR GPIO pin choice. So if you're using infrared, and this Sparkle Motion stick has an infrared on it, receiver, as does this bigger Sparkle Motion board. The little one doesn't, but it has a pin for it, so you can, I don't have this one out, but you can connect it through a little bit of wiring. You can also put an IR remote. And then there are a few of these inexpensive IR remotes that you can get online that are used for all sorts of colored lighting stuff mostly. This is one of these 44, I think this is called the 44 button black remote generically, but they seem to all follow the same protocol. So I can tell this Sparkle Motion stick to, and do I actually know? I might need to look this up. To use the infrared pin. Let's see, it's printed on here, right? Mic pins are printed on here. IR18, no? Maybe? Or is that NeoPixel on 18? IR10. I think it says IR10 on this little screen there. So I'll go to 10. And then enable this to be a 44-key RGB remote. And let's try it with that. Let me hit save. And so with this little infrared remote, I should be able to power it off. Let me restart this. Just to be very thorough. There we go. So I was able to use the remote to power it off. You might even see the blinking on there. No, you won't. But it just bounced off my ceiling. So power that off and on. I believe you can do, I haven't used this one yet. I think you can do the brighten it and darken it. So there I've dimmed it a whole bunch with this little dim button, or brighten it up. And then I'm not sure. Sometimes I feel like I've seen it update the UI as things change with the other remote that I'll show you. I don't know if it'll work with this IR one, but we should be able to switch to some presets. So this DIY 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe that maps to the presets here. So if I go to 1, it's this noise meter. If I go to 2, it switched to the flow stripe. 3, matrix. for scan. So that's really nice. You don't really, you don't have a lot of control over it, but you don't really need to do any coding. If you get a remote, I don't know. I haven't even tried any of the the color setting stuff for solids, but just for being able to pick presets, that tends to be the main thing you're going to do. Randomly trying other stuff, it seems to jump between brightness settings on these. That seems to have just stopped it. Let's see if we can go to a solid. That would be interesting. So let's set the effect to solid. Does it respect? Yeah. So with the effect that I'm using set to solid mode, I can just pick preset colors, and look, they've mapped them beautifully. So that's actually better than some of the commercial ones that I've seen that you put up in your room. Nice. Yeah, those are all mapped perfectly, so we can just pick solid colors, which is great. I think you can do, yeah, that's picking among the presets and then blinking on and off. So this is starting preset. Let's see, number, oh, it's not going to say it on there, but yeah, that's the solid. That's blinking to the next preset, blinking the next preset. It's staying on it. Yeah, so I don't know what those do. It'd be interesting to play around with those more. But I really like the fact that you can just set, most importantly, these DIY ones here to different presets. So that's the infrared one. Now, the other thing that's interesting, let me disable that now. So I'm going to go back to config and go to LED preferences. Remote disabled. Save. So this is no longer turning off. Okay, so I think this is disabled. There's these guys here, and looks like, okay, that's just a simple remote, but these whiz lights, commercial sort of or residential lighting, smart lighting setups, they use ESP Now. So this little remote here is a ESP Now based gizmo, and WLED supports that, and the Sparkle Motion supports that. So what's the difference there? Well, it's over this sort of non-hub requiring non-Wi-Fi Wi-Fi that can be peer-to-peer. And it is radio waves, not infrared. So if you have your setup where you're not going to be able to do any kind of bounced or line of sight infrared, or the board you're using doesn't have infrared, or for whatever reason, this was $10. I think this was $6, so these things are really inexpensive. But it's another option, and it's ESP Now. So to enable that, I don't think I have it enabled right now. You go to Wi-Fi setup. And, oh, I do have it enabled, so it's probably working right now, but I'll just show you. If we were going here from scratch, you would see disable Wi-Fi sleep for some reason is enabled. You have to disable that. By default, that's enabled. So we're going to disable that, disable Wi-Fi sleep, check it off. And then check on enable ESP Now. You'll save and connect and kind of get back out and back in to Wi-Fi preferences. What'll happen is it'll say this paired remote MAC. This thing has, just like all ESP Now stuff, this has a MAC address that makes it, is how they communicate with each other. This will be blank, and it'll say last device seen, none. If we go ahead and use this device, just press its buttons, hit save and connect, come back, it will store the MAC address right in that little slot, and then you can tap it and use it. So there it says last device seen. That's the MAC address of this. It's probably, I don't think it's written on here, but you can probably get it some other way. Yeah, I don't see it written on there. But if that were blank, when I tap this, it just copies and pastes it up there, which is really convenient. So it just sort of learns it. Now we hit save and connect. Now we should be able to use the ESP Now remote to do similar things. So if I press off, turns it off, press on, turns it on, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can switch between the different presets. And we can brighten it, darken it. You see my interface is also trying to keep up with that stuff. So I found this to be a little finicky as far as the length of your button press. I don't know if it spams messages or what. I've just started using this, so if anyone has experience with this that they can share, I'd love to know more. I haven't looked into it that much online, but it works, which is good. It does all the things on here. The only one I believe, just from a little bit of research, that doesn't map to anything is this little moon button, and I'm not sure what that does in WizNet. I'm assuming it's turning on a timer mode or something. There is a timer mode on WLED, but I don't see that changing, so I don't think that's mapped to it. It just did something. It just made it really dark, and I don't know why. You can still use the interface as well. So yeah, I don't know what that moon wants to do, if anything. So turn that back off. There we go. Interface got confused there and threw the brightness all the way at the max when I turned it off. Don't know why. Turn it back on. And again, it might be buffering messages or something. I don't know. So it'd be kind of interesting to, I may look at this on a ESP Now capable like Feather or something like that, just to sniff some packets and see what it's sending out. That would be kind of interesting. And so in thinking about holiday lights, you can do things like have ESP Now, or rather the Sparkle Motion using ESP Now send messages among each other. So if you're in range of one and you're lighting up a whole bunch of things around the house, they could kind of ping those messages around to each other, almost like a mesh, which is pretty cool. So yeah, peer-to-peer, one-to-many, many-to-one, all of those things are possible using these sync interfaces. So you can have a bunch of them syncing with each other. All right, so that's the prep for that. I think I'll probably, for the heck of it, use the full-blown Sparkle Motion. Gives me a few more options on there. Can do 12 or 20 volt lights with power delivery, but I'll probably stick with 5 volt lights. Yeah, there was a question earlier, I think someone asked, the Sparkle Motion Stick, Mini, and full size, they'll all deliver 5 volts to your NeoPixels, including the logic is at 5 volt levels. But this one can be set to do 12 volt or 20 volt strips for different types of lighting. I think the other two are just limited to the 5 volt. So yeah, that's kind of nice options there on remotes with these if you just want to use what's available out of the box. How'd the mic do when I stopped reaching up? I was keeping a bit of an eye over here on the VU meter, and it looks like it was still delivering audio to you. Hopefully that wasn't too painful. All right. Todd said I control you by pretending the mic is moving my mouth. Sound. I guess cruel. Okay, I'll stop that now. Let me see, any questions in... Sound has been on and off for a few, said Randall Bone, but I'm not sure when that message is. These aren't time-stamped. Okay, mic was good, no cutouts. Does it go out now? Now when I reach up? Now? It seems like it's okay. I have another lavalier mic I can screw into that thing and see. Yeah, because one of the nice things about this mic pack is it doesn't just have a plug, it's a threaded locking plug, so it shouldn't wiggle as much as your typical 3.5 millimeter jack. So if it's having a problem, maybe it's the jack internally, because I torqued it down on there pretty good. All right, is that it? I think that's what I got for you today. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride. I will start to cook up something specific with some of our star-shaped strands. Lady Ada suggested I take a look at those for some holiday stuff. And I'm getting enough of a jump start on it that something should happen. So if you're thinking about doing some LED lighting for the holidays, maybe go over to Adafruit, get some sparkle motion and some strands. You can save 10% with Technovember. Technovember will save 10% in the store till midnight tonight, East Coast time. Just type that into the coupon code slot, and off you go. Thank you everyone so much for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you next time. Again, go check out Adabox, adafruit.com/Adabox 022. Should I just go there? Let me go there. Let's see. I keep saying that, but let's actually go there. If you go adafruit.com/Adabox 022. Okay. I think you'll all see that, and then it will require an active Adabox subscription, so follow that link. And I don't know if we have subscriptions still available. We had previously been doing about 4,000, and as subscribers came off of those other slots opened up, I'm actually unsure how that's working on this one, but you can dig into it a little more there, and stay tuned for unboxing and other fun projects and things as that gets going. All right, thanks everyone so much. That is going to do it. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been John Park's Workshop. There is a Deep Dive with Foamy Guy tomorrow. I don't think there'll be any Desk of Lady Ada because she's busy over the weekend. I'll be back on Tuesday with a product pick of the week. We'll have a 3D Hangout Wednesday morning. I believe Ruiz Brothers are back. They were out this last week, so sorry if I said they were coming. I think they're back next week. If not, they'll be back following. Show and Tell Wednesday. No Asking Engineers for the next few, just as babies are being made. All right. Yeah, David Glaudet asks, sorry, before I go, ESP Now remote is interesting. What about doing that from CircuitPython? Yeah, you could, if you looked at my Juggling Balls project, that's using ESP Now to communicate among things. So I think it would certainly be possible to look at WLED if you wanted to change Sparkle Motion WLED stuff based on other CircuitPython boards doing things with ESP Now. Make your own remote. I think that should all be possible. Maybe it'll be a future project. All right. Thanks for that, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.